Myers, special consultant.
They're taking advantage of the fact that players and celebrities are public figures, and they're.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy Sean Spencer, one half of that dynamic duo that is Let's Talk Football. And you know what day it is. It's Monday. It's Let's Talk Football breaking news, but I'm not alone. Oh no! Never am I alone. I am always taken care of because my homegirl, the host of Mile High Minute, is joining me, Tina Winter. What up, Tina?
Hey, Sean. What a weekend in the draft, right?
To say the least. Wow.
It had its downs in between. That's always the way the draft is. There's always something interesting that happens. So, yeah. All right. Well, breaking news. We don't have much other than the draft. So what Sean and I are going to do today is we're going to talk about our teams and how we think our teams did in the draft. We're going to do the segment we've been doing lately called You Call It, which will also be about the draft. As you can see, there's a theme today, guys, everyone. And then lastly, hopefully Sean and I will be talking about this situation the last time, though I don't think the press or any of the sports writers will stop talking about this until the end of this, until the preseason or later. Right. We're gonna talk about who else? Mr. Sheduer Sanders. So,
yes.
To start off the conversation, Sean, how about those Commanders?
Hey,
who was your best pick out of the draft?
Honestly, yeah, let's go there. How did our team do? Commanders, well, we had I believe 5 picks in the draft, and you know, I wasn't expecting a lot. Honestly, we really wanted to see what had happened in our first couple picks, and you know, were we going to trade back, or were we going to pick up somebody? Solidifying our offensive line. Obviously, we got Laramie Tunsil from the Texans in a trade in free agency. Well, here we got Josh Connolly, the offensive tackle from Oregon. He dropped all the way down to us. Great size, great strength. I mean, he's really just good energy guy. Really helped solidify that line. I believe in 530 some odd snaps this past year, he only gave up like a sack. Like 1 sack, 1 or 2 sacks, and it is similar last year. So, I mean, we went from coming into this offseason in question of, you know, we need to really, our line, and we're questioning our line. We need to really build up our line. Getting that guy, big pick. Huge pick. And so that was my favorite by far. Also got a corner, Trey Amos. Will's guy really loves him. Good size, good ability. Potentially day 1 starter, wide receiver from Virginia Tech, Jalen Lane, more of a Debo type, what is it called, Swiss Army knife, do a little bit of everything. So that would be good. Potentially put him in the slot. Then you got a linebacker, Kane Madrano from UCLA. I'll be honest, I don't know much about him, so I'm going to dive into him more. And then got a running back, Ja'Cory Crockett Merritt. Our Krosky Merritt from University of Arizona. Definitely a sneaky good pick. He dropped down because there's a lot of running backs out there, but definitely excited to kind of see what he brings to the table. Not a lot to talk about, but I think with what Washington did from that last year's draft into this year's draft, they clearly have a direction, and sometimes their direction is not, you know, they have another idea as opposed to what I or my guys with Washington might have. So I'm eager to see kind of how they kind of put things together. And each pick that they've made has addressed something: corner, line, wide receiver, linebacker, running back. All those things are things we needed. We eventually took care of it. Love it. What about you?
We had 7 picks. We had an extra pick in the 3rd round, and we traded it to the Eagles for a couple of in the later rounds. Our first pick was a cornerback, Jahdae Barron from Texas.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hearing. We also found out that is a connection to Vance Joseph. His cousin was his position coach at Texas. So they had some kind of inside knowledge on the kid, and he had been high on what we're reading, and he'd been high on their board for a while, and they were just hoping that he would still be there when it was their time to pick at 20. The next one we got was a running back, RJ Harvey from UCF.
Yes, I love
I'm hearing a lot of comparisons to a pre-ACL Javante.
Ooh, yeah. Oh, I can see it. Oh, yeah. You got a good one. Absolutely.
I kind of said it to my friend Steve, is like, I didn't, them not picking a running back on the first round, to me was more of them saying, kind of giving a little more oomph to them keeping Estime. Like that Estime is going to get probably more of a position, more snaps and things like that. The next guy we got was a wide receiver. His name is Pat Bryant. He played for Illinois. He's kind of like a sleeper pick.
Okay.
And everybody's like, well, he didn't run very fast at the combine. We already got our speed guys. We got Franklin. We got a few other guys. This guy did not drop an entire pass the entire season last year.
That's big. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's probably going to be more like a slot guy or something like that. Yeah, it is what it is. And then we went to linebackers. Savon Jones and then Q Robinson. We picked those guys up. And then we picked up the last two picks were Jeremy Crawshaw from Florida. He's the punter.
Okay.
So, and then a tight end called Caleb Lohner. He came out of Utah. Picked up, I was honestly quite happy we did not pick up a first round tight end because they don't seem to work too well for us.
I thought maybe. I was like, are they looking tight end? Could that possibly? No.
That's what everybody was. That's what the pundits were saying. They were saying tight end or running back is where they were really kind of pushing. But, I mean, we picked up Ingram. We do already have 2 or 3 other tight ends. So I can see why they went a little lower and picked up something that's probably going to be a little bit of a project. So we'll see what happens with that. But I really like the corner more and more. I like the quarterback. We got exposed last year when Riley Moss was out of the game. We got exposed hard, and it's looking like Jade can play a number of positions. So, but do they drink and know things? No, they do not, Dinklage. That's why I come to you. So, Mel Kiper hate Crow. Yeah.
Many times over the last years. Many times. Reese Davis had to call him out.
The new guys take out the old guys in this, and once the new guys become the old guys, it's always a cyclical thing. Like Kiper got in because of his analysis when he was young, and he wouldn't get old. Yes. So that's
now what? No, so Amarion got picked up by your rival, the Chargers, and we know you had an epic response to that on on the show the other night.
I have now walked away from that response.
right. But he was available at 20. Do you think the need was just bigger?
They said Jade was where they were going.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe they might have gone somewhere else if Jade had been picked up. But they said that was who they were focusing on for the first round.
Definitely a solid pickup. He was solid at Texas. I mean,
him, Riley, and Jade. Like he can even play safety position too, which is a weaker area for the team. So, I mean, now big. I did read. This will be interesting, and I love how this always ends up coming up between the two of us. I did read that sometimes if he gets out of position, he gets a little handsy.
What? Yes. Yes. And you know what? He's probably going to learn a couple more tricks from Pat Surtain, who gets away with it all the time.
Like I said, you know what? They all Sauce. Nobody shows pads like Sauce does, though.
that just means you got sauced. All right. Yo, shout out to the people in the comments. Misador watching. What's up, buddy? He said Barron will be a stud. Harvey, he thinks was kind of a reach, but he reminds me of Bucky Irvin, who was a stud for the Bucks this past
Oh
year.
yeah. Oh yeah. Bucky has been phenomenal. Yeah, I'm hoping if we can get a good running back, if we can get that running back core going, it will change the game. It definitely will change the game for us. And like what we talked on the draft show, like AFC West is it's looking good on paper.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm gonna push it up there right now, and it's not just because both of us are hosting the show, but AFC West, NFC East. I'm predicting at least 3 teams from both of those guys are going to the playoffs next year. We're going to be the top 2 best this year. I mean, you see the quarterbacks. I mean, duh. And now a lot of us got great running backs and definitely pieces to the puzzle on defense. I know the Raiders haven't gotten corners yet, but they'll get there. But I really believe with you guys in the AFC West and how you guys are growing, and I believe obviously in the Raiders, but the Chargers and the Chiefs. But then in here, the Giants D line, I believe, is going to be stout this year. If they can get any kind of production from their offense, that could be huge. Washington, we'll see what happens there. Dallas with Dak, I'm not convinced that they're going to go back down. I'm convinced they're going to get back in there, and the Eagles, well, you know what they're doing. So,
the Eagles took the guy I wanted. I wanted Campbell. I wanted him pretty bad, but you know what? It is what it is. I mean, you take the people that are there. Yeah, you guys, like, your division went all like edge. You did a lot of edge.
Defense. Well, we saw what the Eagles did in the Super Bowl. I mean, you don't have to rush but 4 people to get to Patrick Mahomes, and then all of a sudden, your favorite, when Patrick Mahomes got that hand full of face, or that face full of hand. I mean, Shelton Scott said Rams got Atlanta's 2026 first round, and they have theirs, so we picked the best quarterback to replace Stafford. Arch can sit for a year and learn the system. We already talking about Arch? Come on, man. And then Misador said, come on, man. And Scott said, if. Shout out to Misador and Scott in the comments. Handy, you over here. Bobby Wills jumping in the comments. How did y'all's team do? Overall, what did you think? I mean, it's draft's done. Obviously, we're going to talk about the major slide of Sheduer. We'll get to that in a little bit. But you got Cam Ward going first. Travis Hunter. What did you think about that trade? The Jaguars trade up.
It was one of the best trades. Like, yeah. I mean, we all knew Cleveland. They didn't need a quarterback. And we'll talk about this later. Like, there was only so many teams that needed quarterbacks and needed certain positions. And honestly, giving the trade away to take a generational talent like Travis Henry's going to be.
Hunter.
I'm sorry. I keep doing that.
You had a Broncos player named Travis Henry. I get it.
And I still don't know who that guy is. Like his name sounds familiar to me. Yeah, I've been saying Travis Henry. Travis Hunter. To not take Travis Hunter is your like, we all knew where Cam Ward was going. I mean, that was just automatic. But you know what? I think it actually was a smart move for Cleveland. It got him it pushed him down further down in the picks, and it got him a number 1 next year.
Yes.
So, but with who they picked up later, are they going to need that number 1 pick now?
But you know what it might be though? If best case scenario, you know what? We're not there yet. We're going to get there. This is getting into that Sheduer conversation. They might be able to use that if things work for them and trade that pick somewhere. We're gonna see, but yeah, all in all, I think honestly this was a really good draft. Nicholas said overall I was not disappointed at all, but I thought other needs could have been met with every pick that we had. Nick, Chicago, I liked what you guys did. I think you guys did so much in free agency that this might have just been depth in the draft because you got a lot of your.
They were taking. I think what the Bears were doing was taking their best guy that was still on their board.
Yeah.
and it was just kind of slotting people in and backups and things like that. So, yeah, I mean, some teams draft for needs, some teams draft for growth, and that's what the Bears did. The Eagles actually had a pretty good draft too. I mean, all the people they should have gotten last year are the people that they got this year by beefing up their defense and other things. I was trying to think if there's anyone else. I mean, I do think Ashton Genty and Omarion will be good fits at the Raiders and Chargers, respectively. It's almost like the Raiders have decided that they're not even going to try and put good wide receivers up against the quarterbacks in the league. They're just going to go straight for pounding the ball.
And they got Brock, so you throw it up to him.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he can. That's well, to me, tight ends are they catch, but they pound. They're in there for making blocks and making people miss. Like, who was it? Chiefs giving away their first round picks. Like, why did the Chiefs and the Eagles switch? Like, what was the point of that? Like, what?
Just for kicks and giggles, man. I mean, for what exactly? Shout out to Alec on the boat, our guy that's in the Navy. All I gotta say is thank you, Denver, for not reuniting Tez Johnson and Bo Nix. He'll be better in Tampa. Aren't they like officially siblings? Did Tez live with Bo Nix's family and all that? Like, they're like brothers. They're gonna meet back up eventually. So whether Tez comes to, I think Tez would be more likely to come to Denver than the other way around. So.
Yeah,
we'll see.
I mean, there was something in there that they didn't like. I mean, who knows? I mean, in my mind, it's not really good because you have too many of Bo's guys from when he was playing. That's too easy for teams to key in on those matchups. Like, you got years of tape. But, I mean, who knows? One never knows. He's on the boat. Jesus, hands.
He's Andy, cut. Oh, okay, all right, Andy, all right. Oh man, well, I mean, look, at the end of the day, like you said, there's a number of teams that I think did really well, and I'm going to be honest. We saw a lot of. You talked about SC East. There was a rush on edge rushers. How many running backs were available? We both were able to get a guy.
Linemen went
exactly.
Like, they just kept calling their names. So, and that's what I had read, is that this was a really good draft for offensive linemen. So if you needed somebody for a hole, this was the year to pick them up. Yeah, next year it's going to be a race for the bottom to see who can get Arch Manning.
Quarterback situation, which is going to be very interesting. And we already know we will be talking about Arch for the next several months. If you think we're talking a lot about Sheduer, wait till this whole Arch thing comes up, the potential of his draft. Yeah, we'll see with that. Nick said there's definitely been Ben Johnson's influence in this draft. I think that is definitely huge, a huge effect in house. So I'm happy for you.
He got that in his contract. When he came over, he was like, I will be involved. I will be doing this. You will be doing what I want. So
I like that. Yeah.
And if you're going to do that, that's what you need to do. You need the GM to work with your new quarterback and everything. So, I mean, that's one of the things that I think that does well for Denver right now is that Peyton and Peyton, the two P's,
PP.
They work well with each other. And I think George is getting a feel for what Sean Payton wants and where he wants to go and all of that. So, I mean, that's the thing. I get the feeling like Pat Bryant, that was a Sean Payton pick. RJ was a Sean Payton thing. And definitely Jade, that came out of Vance. Vance knew what that kid was capable of doing. So, so it's all there. You guys just need to give him a little more love to my lovely McCaffrey, Mr. Luke over there.
He's got one more year. Hey, this is his year. All right, he can show out. We got a couple guys out now. McCaffrey needs to show out now because and it might not be the right fit. I mean, I'd hate to say that, but I look at him and I'm like, he can do so much. He can catch. He can run. He can throw. He was a quarterback at Rice before he could. Like the guy has so much talent, but you know how it is, Tina.
It's
Sometimes
chemistry.
you have
It's chemistry.
yeah,
It's chemistry and coaches.
yeah, they have to
And
find the right place for him, and that might not be in Washington. I hate it, but again, that was his first year. Let's see what happens in year 2. I'll give
not
him the benefit
everybody
of the
has
doubt.
breakout years as wide receivers their first year. It just doesn't
Yeah.
happen that way. So,
Oh, yeah.
and wide receivers take time to develop. The good ones, well, the younger ones do, because it's a tough position. And you're
Mhm.
playing. You guys have some good cornerbacks in your division, so
Mhm.
like learning how to play against those guys would be. I mean, all I gotta say is thank God Clinton Portis isn't in that that league
Good old
either.
Clint. Man, when we had him, good old Clint. My goodness. Oh man. Tez likes playing with Bucky Moore. They played also at Oregon. Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see it this fall. Arch went 31 to 34, 572 yards, 6 touchdowns. Seems like he's falling off today. Yeah. They will be drooling. They will be drooling over him. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh
Well,
no,
that's the
you.
thing. So to go like with this, like they're already talking up Archie Manning,
Yep.
and it's like the pressure on that kid is gonna be so high when he starts out. Like
It's already high.
Yeah,
It was
like
high before he even started a game.
I know.
It's ridiculous.
And then
ridiculous.
So far he's backed a lot of it up, but like what we talked about, he's playing the top 10% in the nation. When he goes to the NFL, he's playing the top 1%. Every cornerback is good. Every defensive lineman is good. It's a different situation. You're not always but that's where
Well,
people
you
are
know
judging.
what, and that's a great segue to with the whole Arch thing because we've already seen 2 Mannings in the league. Now, one went where he was drafted, Peyton, the older one, as our guy Anthony says, forehead, and then you have Eli, who said, "I'm not going to the Chargers," and his dad worked things out and ended up going to the Giants. Arch, we already know all the attention on him before the kid even took a college snap. Does that potentially happen to Arch? Are we talking about this in a year from now where Arch is like, I don't want to play for the crappiest team? It's happened before.
What if it's the Saints though?
Oh, see? But you know what? And I think that segues perfectly, Tina, until our next segment called You Make the Call. We're going to go to a break, but before we do, we know what you guys are here to talk about. It's Sheduer Sanders and his epic fall from grace. He did not get picked in the top round, and a lot of it is speculation that his dad came out and said, my son will not be playing for so-and-so, a team that not a good organization, not a good team. And those teams happen to be the Cleveland Browns and the Saints and the Giants. And they all seem to pass on him. Now, the question we have is we all know the obvious. And as a matter of fact, Tina, I'll give this. No, I'm going to ask this to you because it hits home for you. We all know the obvious. There's 2 guys that we've talked about many times that have shared before the draft that they did not want to go to the place which they were going to be drafted. They were able to finagle a trade, and it happened. John Elway went from the Colts to the Broncos, and then Eli Manning, Chargers, then traded to the Giants. There have been 5 total. Do you guys know who the other 3 players who told the team coming out of college, I will not play for you? So stick with us. We're going to go to a brief commercial. See if you know there are 5 players that told the team they would not play for them if drafted. Besides Elway and Manning, who are the other 3? We'll be right back. Check out my guy, Anton Benson, Awesome Artisans. See you in a minute. Yeah, buddy, that is my guy, Anton Benson, creator of Awesome Artisans. It's on Facebook, it's on Instagram, awesome_artisans on Instagram. Definitely check him out. Lives in Virginia Beach, but definitely travels up and down the East Coast and through to the Midwest. He works inside the house, work in your closet. You can do paint. You can, put up shelves. All that handyman stuff inside, and he can also work outside, put together a pergola, a deck, fences, like the whole nine. The guy does so much work, so definitely get in touch with him because he definitely will travel. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know who it is. It's your boy Sean Spencer. You see her, the lovely Tina Winter. And Tina, I'm gonna let you ask the question. I'm gonna try to look in these comments and see if we got any answers. Go ahead and ask the questions, and I'll look for the answers. Oh, oop. Mute.
Bless it. Hold on.
It's a God bless. I can hear you now.
Okay. All right. There we go. This microphone is going to make me want to scream my head off. Okay. There have been 5 players who told the team that they wouldn't play for them if they were drafted. John Elway and Eli Manning were the 2 that we talked about. What were the other 3? It looks like the man who I have called Dinklage, because he likes to drink and knows things, got one right, and that would be Bo Jackson.
Absolutely.
There's 2 others. So
Philip,
in the modern age, people, come on.
Oh yeah. Philip wasn't, besides my guy Jared Hartman, Philip was not the one. He was a part of the trade. Yeah, but he was fine wherever, and it ended up working out for him. That's a percolate. That's a percolate. Yeah. So I guarantee one of them most likely people will not get, but another one I'll give you a hint. He played for Buffalo for a number of years, including in their Super Bowl run. See if that helps anybody. But Tina, you were familiar with one of the other ones. Jared Hartman said Flutie, close, Zagnif. There it is.
Yep.
Jim Kelly did not want to play for Buffalo, so he decided to go to the USFL for several years. Ironically, ended up coming back and playing for Buffalo and leading them to a lot of success. That's
part of the
one.
1983 class. So yeah, and then the other one, I know him as a Raider, but that's not who he started out with.
Yeah, Rich Gannon went. I believe he was going to play for, or he was the New England Patriots were going to draft him, but before they drafted him, they said, we want you to switch to a running back. Rich Gannon, who had come from a very small school playing quarterback, said, no, I'm going to stick to playing quarterback. Ends up telling him he's not going there. I believe he gets drafted by the Vikings. I might be wrong about that. I know when he played us in like the 92 playoff game, the wild card game or something like that. So I remember him being a part of that team. But he bounced around the league prior to finally getting
for you.
Yeah, oh yeah.
It's on here. He played for you in 1993, and then he was at the Chiefs, and then he ended up with the Raiders.
Yeah.
In 1999 through the early 2000s. So,
and that's where he had most of his success with the Raiders. Obviously, going to the Super Bowl in 2002. Unfortunately getting stomped because of his old head coach Gruden became the head coach of the other team, so they knew everything that Gannon and that offense was running. And that offense had Tim Brown, it had Jerry Rice. I mean, it was a stacked team. But when the other team knows your entire playbook, well, is what it is. Oh my goodness, this guy.
No, sorry, Chewy's sleeping behind me. There's no lasagna here.
Yes, he was absolutely like that later in his career, and it's crazy that stat that you mentioned that I forgot that he came to Washington, but he was one of those that Oh, yeah, he got in a little bit. We were terrible that year. I think we had Kerry Conklin. I think Mark Rippon had just left. So we needed somebody, but unfortunately, I think it was who was there? Richie Pettibone was there. They fired him after that year, head coach. Oh, that stinks because I would have loved Rich. But those are our five: Eli, John Elway, Rich, Gannon, Jim Kelly, and Bo Jackson. Those are the five that told teams we will not play for you. I will not be taking my services to your place. And either did Bo Jackson, we know, went to baseball. Rich Gannon, he just went to another team. Jim went to the USFL. Elway and Manning got themselves a trade. The reason why we bring this up, Tina, is because if you saw
Everybody knows why we're talking about this.
right, if you saw the draft show, you know there was one name that continued to be said throughout that first round, and in was Sheduer Sanders. A lot of us had him projected to be picked in the top five. I think on mine I had at least two or three. And then maybe at the very least nine where the Saints were. That did not happen. He dropped far. And not only did he drop out of the first round, but he also was not picked on days two in the second and third round. He was not picked up until getting picked up by the Cleveland Browns in the fifth round on day three. And Tina, I don't know that I could remember a slide that's a player that's dropped this far. Like this, talk to us about why. Talk to us about some of the backstory, some of the things that we heard come out prior to it, things that we've been talking about for the last month.
What was coming out is when he interviewed at the combine, he wasn't doing well with his interviews, his individual interviews with the various teams. There's an article that's out there that was released, and we'd heard stories through the coverage that people had heard from various members of NFL teams that he did not interview well at the combine, but they didn't go into specifics. Now the specifics are coming out, and what happened is, and for all of you guys that are not gamers or are not into these role-playing games, you may not know what this is, but there's a game called Catan. And I played it once in my life, and I wanted to blow my brains out because it's like 14 times as difficult as Risk is. And there's a lot of people that won't even play Risk because it's complicated. So it's a very interesting. He brought this game and was like playing it with the interview committees at the teams, and so it was a hit or miss thing. And it seems like if the teams didn't get the game at all, he was like it just didn't go over well. And there were some teams that they had people that knew the game and knew what they were doing, but they were like they'd ask him football questions and he'd like answer something else. He would not talk about his skills, what he brought to the game, how he could fix some of his problems, because he has some problems. He is a pocket passer, but he tends to, I don't know what the term is, bail out early. There's a few problems that he has and stuff. And so he just kind of, I got to give the guy props because he made himself interesting. Like bringing this game in and saying, we're going to play this, and this is how this is what we're going to do. That's interesting. You're going to remember that guy. But it didn't go over well. It didn't go over well at all.
No.
Like
no.
In the story, like the Raiders, he didn't do well with the Raiders, which is a team I thought he would end up at the Raiders. I really did. And there's a few others that are nameless in the article. And
I know the Giants were one of those that really had an issue with him.
Yeah. I mean, but like what you said, like this is where I'll toss it off to you, is he's one of the new players coming into the NFL that have been getting NIL money and have the newer and this is a different kind of athlete than there's been there
Yeah.
before. So, do you think this kind of not kiss the ring kind of behavior,
Yeah.
but like this new idea, like I bring my own things, I'm going to beef myself up and you need to make me like you want me to come to your team. Do you think
Right.
there's going to be more and more of this?
Well, let's first address the elephant in the room. His dad is Dion, so that's going to get you into a lot more doors just by the name alone. Um, so I think from that perspective, this is a unique situation because I don't think many people would have the luxury of being able to play a game and essentially not take the team interview seriously. That's what it appeared. Now, some people got the game, they're like, oh, okay, and other people like what you were talking about, who are thinking like kind of fourth dimensionally, are like, oh, okay, I see the strategy you're trying to do. But
Hmm.
again, it gets down to the point of ask you a question, answer the question. Now, I get you want to do it metaphors and this and that, but answer the question. But even beyond that, to the question you asked, I do think, and mind you, this is only the cream of the crop. Not everybody is getting paid, and we'll talk about that throughout the year, especially on the college shows. But those top tier players, the Sheduers, the Carson Becks, the Travis Hunters, all those top guys, yes, they are getting some money, and they aren't as desperate. It used to be that, these college guys, they work their butts off just to get that shot to go to the draft and to get picked up by a team, and then they can get that contract, and yes, I'm doing it, I'm making it. And a lot of those guys that didn't get picked up in the first round had to wait 4 or 5 years till they finally were able to get a contract, and a lot of them didn't even last that long. So on one side, it is like these guys now that are getting money in college are coming to the pros saying, I'm not desperate. I'm not in such a need for this money. And I think that is kind of the new college athlete that has a lot of these kids have gone from one place to another and have kind of set demands out to these places. They have a lot more power in college where they're saying, I don't want to, I could transfer. I could do great here and then go transfer somewhere else. You know what I mean? Like I can have a great situation and then go. So they are already telling teams, hey, listen, I see what you're doing. I see how you guys are going, but I have my own agenda. I have my own. I think it gets blown out of proportion because of who it is. Um, I don't think this is going to be the norm, but then again, we also have seen there's a lot of pro, former pro athletes that their kids are now coming up. You talked about Jerry Rice a year ago. Antonio Gates' son is out there. I mean, a number of guys that their kids are coming up and now they're playing, and it's like we haven't seen it, but it might be something that needs to be talked about more. You know.
Yeah.
Uh, Shout out to Jared said the only problem because he's not top tier talent. If he would have played Uno with them, it would have kept him moving. But that's it. And Tina,
Yeah.
this is one of the questions that I have. We've seen guys throughout as far back as we can remember that have been so great on the field, but have been very questionable off the field, whether it's domestic issues, whether it's drug issues, whatever. And if
Yep.
that guy is good, if he's good enough, how many chances does the NFL give Josh Gordon? Year after year after year, he's getting out because of drugs, and they still came back and let this guy play. That, I think, is maybe the bigger issue in the room. He's not as elite as we might as maybe we've all been kind of hyped him up to be, and maybe it's kind of like they're sitting here saying you ain't your stuff still stink, to put it lightly. Tina, what do you think?
I agree. It's kind of like what you said. I think this was a perfect storm situation. There was a
Yes.
lot of things that came into this. One was Dion and who he is, and let's not lie. There's still a lot of people that did not like the way he acted in the 90s and what he said and
Mm-hmm.
how he did it and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So there's going to be backlash against that. Like um Delilah said, anytime you have a sports athlete's kid, they have a target on their back. It's just automatic. It's going to be that way. I mean, there's a reason why the term for them now is called Nepo baby. Because a lot of times they're getting that leg up because of who their parents were.
Yeah.
2, NIL, contract money, that whole thing. But I also think the big factor in this is lack of teams that actually needed a quarterback.
There you go. Yeah.
Last year, there was a run on quarterbacks because there was a bunch of them, bunch of teams that needed them. You and our teams included. So there was 7 of them in the first round. Yeah. Well, those teams, all those quarterbacks pretty much worked out okay. Like most of the ones that were drafted in that, if they didn't start, they were projected to be backups, and they're backups now.
Right.
Couple of them got moved to the front, but that's because injuries happen, things like that. I just think this year, the only one, like Cleveland, and even honestly, I don't think Cleveland was really on my list for needing a quarterback. Because let's talk about that room he's walking into now. He's got Deshaun Watson, who's still under contract. He's injured, so who knows what will happen. They brought back Joe Flacco. And then in the 3rd round, they draft Dylan Gardner, I think is his name. Gabriel. So you have 2 veterans against 2 rookies in the preseason.
Wait. One more. They got old Pittsburgh quarterback Kenny Pickett as well.
Kenny Pickett. Yes, I always forget about Pickett.
Yeah, he's not that. You don't remember much about it. I understand. He's not that memorable.
He thinks everybody remembers him, but nobody remembers him.
No, his last name is Pickett. I don't think you're going to be the best quarterback.
And Jared's right. No, unless you are 50 times better than the parents. No one remembers the junior person. They remember the parent. It's just the way that is, because you get compared to that. And that goes into like, if he had Dion generational talent, this would have been a completely different story.
Yeah. Now let's talk about that. I have the numbers up here. First and foremost, he wasn't number 1, but he was top. He had like, I believe 76 completion. What was it? 74%. Completed 74% of his passes. Okay, he was 4th for most passing yards with 4,134. He threw for the 2nd most touchdown passes this year with 37 and 10 interceptions. Okay, so the guy's got the ability to read the defenses quick. He gets it out there. He can get it downfield. I think he averages almost 9 yards a play. But there is one.
Put the ball. He knows where to lead. He knows how to lead a wide receiver to catch the ball. Yeah.
But there is one major glaring issue that a number of people have brought up. You actually alluded to it earlier in the year. He led the country in being sacked 42 times. So while he's having success, you see that completion percentage is up because he's holding on to the ball. You can't do that in the NFL. And that's what I think some of these teams saw, because they're like, well, look, yes, those numbers are nice and they're inflated and everything. And if you look at all 4 years, I think he's like 14,000 yards overall between the 2 years at Jackson State and the 2 years at Colorado. But the issue is you gotta bring in those sack totals. You have to bring in that other stuff that is maybe not showing up in the stat sheet, but it's kind of holding you back. And this wasn't done in the SEC. This wasn't done in the Big Ten. You know what I mean? This was done in the HBCU to Pac-12 that broke apart to Big 12. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. He's a middle class man's Geno Smith, low key. Wow. Which is another surprise. It's like, why didn't he go there? Could have been Geno and Geno. Like,
kind of thought it was going to be when Minnesota and the Seahawks were like trading people around and stuff, but it didn't go that way. I also think there's one like undefinable thing too. And there's always that it factor, that undefinable, like some people have it or not, but also some people are it. Meaning they bring, I think, especially with these teams like the Titans and the Saints and the Giants and the Browns, they've already got problems in their locker rooms right now,
Right.
trying to get these teams back on track, trying to get them on a winning record again. And Sanders is going to bring press with him. Sanders is going to bring issues with him. And not of his own willing, it's just that he's always going to be surrounded by press people.
Right.
And that's a distraction in and of
Big
itself.
distraction. Yep.
And that will kind of also lead, like, that's the thing. If you're going to go to Cleveland, dude, listen to everything you can listen to, but you got to keep your distractions to a minimum, because I think that town will like him a lot. LeBron showed you can come in there, you do well, you do what you're supposed to, you start winning, they will embrace you.
Oh yeah.
But
Baker Mayfield, they embraced him for that first part, but the minute he started falling off and getting hurt, they turned on him quick.
Yeah. And that's the thing. He didn't really do anything wrong. It's just he didn't live up to his potential, which starts with the press, and then the fans get involved and they listen to that. And I think a lot of Bear fans need to think about that. Like, there's a lot of similarities.
She said it. Nah, I didn't say it. She said it.
I mean, I'm not saying everything needs to be rah rah sis boom bah, let's go all the time, but there's the press in Cleveland is hard. Sports press is hard, and the fans are hard. If he pisses off the fans, like, they'll turn on him like a dime. There's no question about that. And stay away from Deshaun.
It's gonna be interesting. I've often said I get it. And Delilah, shout out to Delilah. She said that in our chat. Like, no, they do not need to be hanging out at all outside of it. I've tried to play the benefit of the doubt, and if Deshaun is trying to resurrect his image, maybe that'd be good to talk to this guy. But that's gonna go. But it's gonna get. That's my. It's going to go. That goes to my point. Is that is there an issue with Sheduer's image? Because outside of maybe doing this in games, everything else is attached to his father. And I haven't seen Sheduer badmouth anybody. I haven't seen him really go after anybody. And you mentioned it to me before, off camera, after the first night, after obviously, I mean, you're devastated, you don't get picked. He then goes and has a press conference and says, "Yeah, we're bummed. We thought we expected to get picked, but it's okay. We're still here, and hey, we'll go on." That's big. That shows character. Now, one could say, okay, well, maybe he had to show that, but still, I mean, for all the talk about this guy, especially in this day and age where the athlete is getting the magnifying glass on them, and we're really scrutinize everything they do. I'm really finding a hard time to really see the amount of stuff that Sheduer did that outside of the playing the game in a meeting. I'm sorry that any business place you go to, you're not going to be able to do that unless you are otherworldly, unless you're it. But clearly, he's not it, so you can't do that. But still, he's not doing anything else, and that's why I'm kind of like.
Oh, I think he can totally rehabilitate himself, but he's got to watch what he's doing and saying and all of that. And he might need to break himself away from his dad a little bit. Just be like, that's my dad. That's the way he is. I'm separate. Come in. Yeah. And he's got to come in and show the Browns that he's working to try and fix his problems. Like, he holds on to the ball too long. There's some problems with his footwork. And what a lot of people don't realize is, his stats aren't that great, but that's because the year before at Colorado, he was 4-8. Like, he needs time to gel. Maybe he needs a little time to sit in a backup situation for the next year. Let Flacco and Watson duke it out, and him and Dylan can sit back, and Kenny Pickett can sit back and absorb some information, because too many times teams want to throw that rookie quarterback into the fire. And while it worked out for our teams this year, it doesn't always work out that way. You're putting too much pressure on a rookie quarterback the first year. I mean, in our dad's time, and they sat there for a couple of years. Jordan Love sat there. Aaron Rodgers sat there behind Brett Favre. It's what you do. You sit for a couple of years and you learn the position and you help the guy in front of him. But
if you're not it.
Yeah. Well, even if you aren't it, they'll still put you in because you're spending so much money on these quarterbacks and these rookie quarterbacks that people are like, well, if I'm paying him $35 million, I want him out on the field. I got nobody else that's any better. So you're going to go out there and you're going to sink or swim, kid.
And some people swim. CJ, we saw him last year. He did great, but he also had a lot of the team and the pieces built in around him, similar with our stuff. So I will say this, and Jared says, Cleveland go through through quarterbacks like Kleenex. Absolutely. I will say this, with him, the sack problem is an issue. The stats have always been good. You were absolutely right that he only won 4 games 2 years ago. But he also went through 27 touchdowns and 3 interceptions and threw for 3,100 yards. So his stats were always going to be that. But it's the holding on to the ball. It's the sitting here trying to wait for this. And here's the other thing that somebody told me the other day. How much of his success is attributed to the fact that for all 4 years, you had arguably one of the best players in college football. I mean, Travis Hunter, 2-way player at Jackson State, both those years, and then a 2-way player at Colorado. I mean, last year he won the wide receiver of the year award, the Fred Biletnikoff award. So you have literally the best player in college football on your side. So I mean, your numbers most likely will get inflated. So it's going to be eager to see now when you don't have all of that talent around you. And how can you succeed? Because I know they got Jerry Jeudy. I think I have Elijah Moore over there at wide receiver, but I'm not really sure who else they got.
Not a lot of weapons. Not a lot of known weapons at Cleveland. So, I mean, they've got Chubb.
Who's coming off the injury.
Yep, there's another injured player. Yep.
Let me see who else they got. Now, they picked up some defense. They got Mason Graham. They got 2 running backs, and Dylan Sampson from Tennessee and Keyshawn Judkins, 2 legit running backs. Obviously, they got Dylan Gabriel and Sheduer. A pick that I really like in the 3rd round, they got Harold Fannin Jr., tight end from Bowling Green. Led, I believe, all tight ends and
that's
reception.
The guy that I was hoping we would pick up. So
that's who you and I were talking about, Harold Fannin Jr. So they got draft picks. You know, the defensive player, they got linebacker as well. They got players to pair along with it. But I think at the end of the day, realistically, this is true. He could really shoot for being a backup. He can shoot for being maybe, he'll be in a competition with Gabriel. But I think until they're confident, you put in Joe Flacco. Watson's going to sit because he's hurt. You put in Joe Flacco, which is the veteran, and you go in there until the vet shows that, he's the old guy that was on the couch a couple years ago, and then you try to bring in the kid. But it's going to get to the point to be trial by fire. They're in this situation because, like Jared says, they go through QBs like Kleenex. So you wish the best for him. You wish that he gets his head on straight and all that stuff, but it's going to be an uphill battle from here on out.
Prove himself. He's 100% going to have to prove himself all the way through it, which means he's probably going to have to sit down, buckle down, eat a little crow once in a while, do like what he did with the interview, which is, yes, I'm disappointed, but we're moving on and going forward. And and also like what Delilah said. I mean, because he is Dion's kid, he's always going to have a target on his back.
Shadow will always be there. Yeah.
Everything he says is always going to be scrutinized.
Yep.
And a lot of people are going to look at what he's saying with the mindset that that's what Dion's would do. So he's got to separate himself. He's got to turn himself into his own person and kind of separate from Dion. But that's the only way. If he doesn't, he's going to take, he can't walk around with it. Like, I don't want anybody to think like I have a problem with him showing up with the board game. I absolutely don't have a problem with that. I think
you would actually understand it, right?
Yeah, well, I basically understand that I never want to play it again because it just is very difficult.
Right.
I don't know if anyone else out there watches like God, what was the show with the geeks in it and then the hot blonde?
Big Bang Theory.
Big Bang Theory, like it's like 4D dimensional Star Wars, Star Trek chess. Like there's so much going on. But like I get wanting to make yourself interesting, wanting to make yourself stand out from everybody else. Cause like nobody really likes the Wonderlic test anymore. They're not really, they use it still, but they don't use it like they used to. And so you want to, because in like doing with the game and stuff, he's showing like how he can look at strategy and figure out like different ways to do things, and he can think quickly and do all of this. So that's all great. But like what I said, you gotta answer the questions they put to you. Because if you're not answering the questions you put to you, you're saying you don't respect them.
Yep.
And I'm not saying, like we said, no kissing of the ring. There's none of that anymore in the NFL. It's a business for both sides. Both sides come at it as a business. But when it's as a business, you have to, if you want something different out of it, for them to see you in a different way, which is what I think he was really trying to do.
Which I can understand.
To get them to understand, like, yeah, I got some problems, but all of these pluses are here. You have to, like I said, answer the questions I put forward to you.
Right.
So, like the question, like, well, how do you think you can stop? Like, you have the highest sack record. You had a high sack record when you were in college. How would you fix that? Okay, that's a legitimate question to ask somebody when you're in that interview. And for him to be like, well, no, it's like we do, like, let's go back to the game. That's avoiding the question. And I think that's wrong. Now, I don't know why he came up with this idea. Nobody is talking about that or anything. It's kind of, it gives me the chuckles because it's like, this is the way Gen Z is. Like, they look at things differently.
The other side of it.
They have the older millennial and Gen X parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, that whole thing going up. And so they see things differently than we do. They look at things differently because of technology and all of that. So I just thought it was interesting. I'm like, I'm not slamming the game. I'm slamming the response to.
I mean, we know, and it's funny. It's probably brought a lot of attention to the game, and all that. Like, you know, that some people in the NFL might. They're like, what is this? I'm not gonna lie. When you first said it, I thought you said Chris Kattan, because I was like, was he trying to perform like Chris Kattan? Like, what? But look, at the end of the day, you're right. They ask you a simple question, and even by you answering the question, sometimes that alone will just say, okay, he can do. If I ask him to do something, he's not going to give me some outlandish answer. He's just going to boom answer the question. Sometimes it's just that simple.
The Dion Sheduer mystique,
the extra stuff.
Is he going to be able to work with us? Is he going to want to be able to try and fix things, like, or is he going to come in and be like, no, this is the way that I am and I'm not changing it? So that's one of the intangibles when you're playing, when you have quarterbacks. Or actually,
absolutely,
NFL player. I mean, not to get too simple, but most linemen, offensive and defensive, it's kind of like, go there, run hard.
Right. Now, if you have an old lineman that brings this game out and is going in and answering questions
I'm getting him right away.
I'm like, oh wow,
thinking, like,
he sees things. Oh, I see where you at. So, and you know what the funny thing is? a lot of the issue is that this is kind of the first. Like this is the first that we've really ever seen something crazy like this. And so if he has success, then people are gonna be going back like, oh wow, you see what he did? I need to do something like that. I need to think outside the box. Let me,
Yeah.
it is what it is. I mean, we're not used to it, but
use Uno. Use Uno. Everybody gets
yeah,
Uno.
yep. Hit it with that draw 4. You got it. You'll be good, man. You'll be good. Well, look, ladies and gentlemen, we got to get out of here. We wanted to talk a little bit post-draft talk and definitely talk what everybody's talking, the Sheduer Sanders conversation.
Even my mom
And
was talking about it.
yeah. Oh, and see, everybody has got a little something to say about it, and I love it. But we definitely wanted to put in our spin on just some other avenues, some other ways to think about it, because it's a great story, a great situation. Again, the spotlight's on because of who his father is, and now he's going to have to try to separate himself and show that he can be what he knows he can be, and what the guy that was able to get his number retired at his university, which is another issue I have a slight problem with, but that's neither here nor there. Listen, we have got to get out of here, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate you for joining us, and I always appreciate when I get to hang out with my partner, my homegirl from Chicago, Miss Tina Winter. Tina, draft is over. Mile High Minute, will you guys be doing a post draft look back? No. Okay.
No. I'll have a conversation with a couple of people. I'm having lunch with dinner with a couple of guys this week, and we'll just kind of like, it'll probably be preseason before we start back up and stuff.
I get that. Yep.
It's just, as you all know, like this time is quiet. You and I love this time because I think this is the most interesting part of the NFL.
Yes.
Because it is like rule changes and figuring things out and all this like maneuvering, like a little bit of Catan. You got all these figures moving around and getting it all to move. So, but we'll be on hiatus till about then. But you know what? I have this to do with you. So
hey, to each his own, but Tina, you are truly a godsend because as you know, and being a part of several chats that I'm in, I bug people to the point where they don't want to respond to me because they're just like, God, is he hitting me up again? Did we just do a show the other day? Oh, but just like you, Tina, if I'm not doing a show, I'm looking this stuff up on my phone. I got 2 phones. I'm writing stuff down. We love this, and to be able to talk about it is something that I absolutely can't get enough of. So thank you, my partner. Tina Winter. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yo, so for all of you that were watching us, Anthony Handy, Jared chimed in, our guy Alex, Scott, Misador, all of you that chimed in to watch, we appreciate you guys. Bobby Wills, appreciate you guys tuning in with us, sticking with us, talk about a little bit of this talk. Stay tuned. We will be back next week. Also, stay tuned. A little bit later tonight, I will be having a conversation with a couple of my buddies and a new show segment idea maybe called Let's Talk Sheduer Sanders. And we're going to be bringing it from another perspective, just trying to hit every avenue of this conversation because I love it that we're having it, but I want to make sure that since we're having the conversation, we want it to be covered legitimately and not just headlines and reacting towards that. We want to actually dive into it. So we appreciate you guys sticking with us and joining the conversation. We couldn't do this without you guys going back and forth with us. Although knowing this one over here, we don't need anybody paying attention. We would be talking and doing it and going back and forth. Yeah. Yeah.
You really didn't talk to a tree if we had to.
Exactly. And she'll always be admitting that sauce is the better corner. But we gotta let you guys go, guys. Yeah. Let's go. Yo, hey, for my partner Tina Winter, it is your boy Sean Spencer. We will see you again next time. Stay tuned for all the good stuff we got. Peace, people.
Washington had no hesitation in this offseason, they hire Bob Myers as special consultant.
They're taking advantage of the fact that players and celebrities
Are public
are public figures.